Hi, I'm Rachael Crow from Moon Times, and I'm just doing a little video about menopause, or the moon pause that I prefer to call it. I get a lot of women asking me questions, and I've had it for years, having run a business that's all to do with menstrual health. And I used to say to women, I can't talk about menopause because I don't know anything about it yet. And for the last few years, I've been right in the thick of it. So any of you who've followed my blog posts, I've posted quite a bit about hashtag the truth about menopause, the real truth about menopause, because there's a lot of myths and taboos around menopause. It seems like women don't really want to talk about it. There's a bit of denial, I think, around getting older, and there's a kind of common sense of, oh, that doesn't happen till you're in your 50s. And actually what I'm seeing is a lot of women starting with perimenopause symptoms earlier and earlier, and I'm actually getting a sense of maybe the start of it is around 36, 38, when a lot of women get that kind of urge to have another baby quick. If I'm going to do it, I've got to do it now, or it's going to be too late, especially women who haven't had any children. And I put my hands up, I totally fell for that one. I had my daughter when I was 38 and another one at 42, and I'm now mothering through menopause, which I wouldn't recommend. Anyway, so I just thought I'd do a little chat around a few questions that I kind of came up with. So what's been really interesting for me is, as a woman who's worked with my cycle and taught other women to connect to their cycles for nearly 30 years, I didn't want to stop bleeding. I absolutely love my moon time. I loved kind of the ups and downs of the cycle, although mine wasn't too bad. I did have really bad kind of PMT and mood swings when I was younger, but for me, once I started cycle charting, bringing my awareness to my cycle, all that kind of faded away, and I'd maybe get one day just before bleeding where I was a bit kind of angsty, maybe craving sugary things, but nothing compared to what I'd used to be like. So the manifestations of perimenopause for me have been quite full on, and it certainly helped me get to a place of like, I'm pretty ready to stop bleeding now. I'm pretty ready for this part of my cycle, this part of my life to be over, and this kind of irregular cycle that I now have. I've been regular as clockwork for years, but what happens in perimenopause is all that changes. So it's a bit like being a teenager again. It's like when we first start bleeding, it's all over the place, your hormones are all over the place, you're irregular, except you've got the baggage of 30 years coming at you as well. So yeah, working with my cycle all these years, I think, has given me a foundation for perimenopause. I certainly still chart my cycle. I also chart the manifestations that come up. So I've noticed for myself, I'm still bleeding. A week before I bleed is when all my symptoms ramp up. So that's when, for me, the hot flushes, the insomnia, the anxiety, all those things kind of get more. So charting my cycle has still been a really important tool for me for my perimenopause journey. So my next question is around, how did it show up? How does perimenopause show up? What's the first changes? So it's really easy in hindsight to look back and kind of go, oh yeah, that was it. So like I was saying, around that 36 to 38, getting that kind of like, oh, my eggs are drying up, I've got to use them quick. There was also shifts in my cycle. So I became pregnant with my son, who's now 6, because I hadn't noticed that my ovulation had shifted in my cycle. So that happened around 41. I started getting premenstrual migraines, which I'd never had before. So that was kind of the first symptoms I started getting. And then They ramped up to 2 a month, so I'd get them when I was just before ovulation. So these two kind of times in the cycle where your hormones are really changing around. And then they got worse to the point where some cycles they were lasting for 3 days. So it kind of got more and more full on. Anxiety kicked in again. That hadn't been something that I'd experienced in my life before. I say to women that one of the things that happens in perimenopause is whatever your thing is, so whatever you kind of, so I label myself as sensitive. I am highly sensitive, and I've become even more so in this journey. So especially my 2 weeks kind of post ovulation, if I ovulate, that's something else that's come up. Sometimes I don't ovulate. I heighten sensitivity, so I would get touched out really quickly with my children, really irritable. Music can feel like it's too much. My neighbour might start chainsawing or something, and it'll just be like, oh my god, that noise is driving me mad. Too many people in the room, all that kind of, I just want to be by myself, I need to be in nature. So that for me has been the thing that's kind of ramped up, that I've really noticed. Obviously I've had some health issues that some of you might have known about, so I think all those things kind of come together as a real message to kind of, there's something going on that you need to deal with here, and you need to bring some balance into your life. You really need to bring in some balance. So at that point in my life, when all my perimenopause symptoms started kicking off, I was in a very stressful situation, stressful living situation, stressful work situation. The children, there was a lot going on, so I can kind of look back and go, wow, yeah, no wonder I was feeling all that. So you'll be glad to know that all those things have calmed down. They don't completely go away, and I've blogged quite a lot about all the things that I tried, acupuncture and essential oils and herbs and blah blah. The basics for me, which would be my kind of top 5 tips for perimenopause. Diet. Absolutely look at your diet. Really notice the things that trigger just feeling out of balance in your body. So, for me, I cut out sugar quite a long time ago, because I noticed the mood swings it gave me and the cravings that I got. So that was the first thing for me to go. I don't drink alcohol, I don't drink caffeine. I'm too sensitive, I can't cope with those things in my body. I did a nutrition training because I really wanted to start looking after my health. So my top tip going into perimenopause is really sort your health out, because if you don't, it'll bite you on the arse. Number 2, me time. I have to have time on my own, especially as a perimenopausal woman that is mothering. I really have to, otherwise, I feel like I'm going crazy. So, and I just can't be a good mother either. I'm just really irritable with the kids and snappy. And again, like that heightened sensitivity, the kind of feeling touched out. I don't want to be cuddled, which, as a mum, you don't want to feel like that. So I have to make sure I get time on my own. Go out for walks, even just getting in the car and going shopping by myself. Whatever it is, getting that me time, having a long bath by myself. I get really irritable when I'm in the bathroom and the kids knock on the door. Mum, like, God, can I just have a few minutes to myself? It's like really important you schedule that in. Getting enough sleep. So especially when my insomnia started, I would do that thing of like, oh, well, I'm going to stay up late, so then I'll sleep much better. I'll stay up till like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then I'll be so tired, I'll sleep like a log, and it didn't work. So actually going to bed earlier has been much better. So get enough sleep. For me personally, time in nature is vital. I have days where I just want to go and sit under a tree, lie on the earth, listen to the birds. That's what feeds my soul for me. So you find what your thing is. Exercise. So I'm not a big exercise person. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to exercise. We've got a trampoline in the garden, it's fun to use with the kids. My kind of go-to is my yoga practice, and I also do something called TRE, trauma release exercises, which is some kind of yoga postures, but then you just lie on the floor and you let your body shake, and you're kind of shaking out trauma, and just releasing your body. Really, it's really relaxing. So those would be my 5 tips. So sort your diet out, drink more water, drink more water, me time, get enough sleep, some exercise, and time in nature. So they're my 5 tips. So how do I cope with my perimenopause symptoms? So, you know, I've like these tips, I put in self-care practices. So for me, things that are just really nurturing are things like womb packs, you know, hot water bottle, castor oil pack on your womb. I do regular monthly liver cleanse as a kind of health prevention, looking after myself. I mean, I take supplements. I'm under an amazing nutritionist because of my journey healing cancer, and it's been really interesting because I've got estrogenic cancer, which means I have estrogen dominance. So we've been really looking at working with that with my diet and my supplements, and it's been really refreshing working with someone who's not just going, you need HRT, you need progesterone cream, we need to take adaptogens, you know, you need loads of maca or whatever. It's actually been avoiding all of those things, and, you know, put in the good gut bacteria, B vitamins, just, you know, really working with my body to get it into balance. So I would really recommend seeing a nutritionist. Mine's a nutritionist, a naturopathic nutritionist. She's amazing. So really bringing myself into balance. I do a lot of meditation, breath work, journaling, things like having a foot bath. You know what, just take a day off, take a day for yourself, and do really luxurious things. And if you can't take a day, you know, 10 minutes with your foot in some Epsom salts and essential oils, just, you know, whatever you can do to top up. The biggest thing that I've learned in perimenopause is to just slow down and look after myself. And I would say to younger women, prepare for this time. I mean, kind of in your 20s and 30s, that's your optimum health. You've got loads of energy, you can burn the candle at both ends. You know, as you hit 40, you just start slowing down. Naturally, you start slowing down. Not every woman is like that. You know, I see plenty of women in their 50s kind of powering. But for me, my journey has been learning to really slow down and give myself time. So I'm lucky that I work for myself. So, you know, if I've had a really bad night's sleep, I can take it slow the next day, and I just prioritise. I'll just do the things I really need to do. If I was working full time, I would be struggling, really struggling. So, you know, my bit of wisdom for women who are younger, prepare to be thinking about job sharing or going part-time as you hit perimenopause. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if women could take 10 years off work to go through their menopause? I mean, that would be, you know, it's like maternity leave isn't long enough. Menopause leave, let's have a moon pause leave, a gap year for women going through their moon pause. Yes, that's what I want to see coming for women, but it's not happening now. So start preparing. Prepare your family, prepare your husband or your partner that you're gonna need more support, you're gonna need more time off, you're gonna need more time to yourself. So I've talked a little bit about mothering through menopause. That's, you know, it's not an easy task. You know, I've talked to women who, you know, if you're having symptoms like flooding, you know, you're bleeding, it's flooding, and you're sitting at the side of the swimming pool with your 6-year-old while they're having their swimming lesson, you know, it's not fun. Or the edge of the football pitch, all those things, you need to start delegating and thinking about reining in the support. You know, if you're having symptoms like that, you need to really rest. That is your body giving you a really big lie down, take it easy, you know, rest up. Susan Weed, I love Susan's menopause book. She talks a lot about flooding you're giving away too much energy. So, You know, all these kind of manifestations of perimenopause are all little signals from your body saying there's something not quite right, something you need to look at. Some of them are totally normal. You know, we hear stories of women who, you know, have no symptoms at all and just one day they stop bleeding and that's it. And then there's women who are throwing themselves in the freezer with their hot flushes. You know, hot flushes are to do with your body detoxing, they're to do with your liver. You know, they're also, some people talk about them being kundalini rising, power surges. I find it really interesting to notice what I'm talking about or what I'm doing or what I'm saying when a hot flush comes up. So I've noticed I really get them if I'm in a situation where I don't feel comfortable. You know, I did a performance last year with some of my women drumming and I was hot flushing all the way through it because I didn't really want to do it. So I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I don't do the feel the fear and do it anyway. It's not good for my adrenals. So there's a lesson there. So I've talked about looking after your health. That's another preparation for going into menopause. Our immune system gets lower, so we really need to be coming into menopause with optimum health. So really, really looking after your diet. I mentioned earlier, things come and bite you on the backside. So it's also a time for dealing with unresolved issues. So, you know, I see so many women going through separations or just kind of stuff that they've not wanted to look at. They kind of talk about it as the can of worms, just got to push it down, put the lid on the can of worms. It's going to explode at some point, and you don't want to explode as a health issue. You know, I kind of feel like my cancer journey was part of that can of worms. The lid had to come off and I had to look at those issues and I had to heal them. You know, for other women, it might be a heart problem, it might be blood pressure, it might be, you know, other health issues. So, you know, they can all manifest in our bodies if we don't deal with the emotions. So, you know, start having some counselling, psychotherapy, you know, whatever works for you. Look at those unresolved issues and just keep adding in self-care practices. Adding. And I've done loads of blogs on self-care practices. There's so many things. You've got to find what works for you. But you're taking that me time and just really taking care of yourself. Just that little 1% of something for me. What can you do for yourself this week? So that's what I'm going to leave you with, those questions. So there's going to be, what could you look at from your health that you could add in? I'm not for cutting things out. I'm not going to say cut out this, cut out that. What I'm going to say is add in drinking more water, a juice, a smoothie. What can you add in to help your diet? What thing that's nourishing can you do for yourself this week? Just one thing for you this week. And to finish, my biggest tip is to start a menopause group. Gather your women who are in a similar phase to you. It's great to have some women who are a little bit further ahead, some women who maybe aren't quite there yet, and just have a sharing circle. Share what you're doing, share the things that are working for you. One of the elders that I sat with recently, she said, you know, gather the women and bring your herbs. So for some women, they might be taking motherwort, black cohosh, you know, the Vitex, all this Agnus castus. You know, bring your herbs, talk about what's worked and share them out, rather than everyone going out and buying them and going, oh, that didn't work, or that didn't work. You know, my top favourite herb right now is oat straw, really calming. I got that from Susan Weed. So add in a herbal tea, nettle, oat straw, really great menopause teas. So this is the end of my little moon pause video. It's gone steadily darker and darker. Sorry about that though. It's dusk outside, the birds are just going to bed and the bats are coming out. So it's quite amazing. So if you want to work deeper with me, I've got my online Broken Basket Woman course where it's all about weaving yourself back together. Or just follow my blog. I'm constantly putting stuff out there about menopause. So it's been really lovely to share some of my wisdom and my journey with you. Take care. Lots of love.